Yo, peace and black power. It's your brother Knowledge from the line. Do Knowledge Radio. The place where knowledge is born.
Knowledge Radio.
This is 3K.
Think Tank.
This is 3K. Hey. This is 3K.
I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. It's where I swear that knowledge is born. Who ducked, who down, return fire. We're the warriors, the healers, enlighten us. I'm tired of the same old, that game old with an upgrade. I'm a sunbathe in the sun rays while my guns blaze and they complain. Devil, my level not attainable. My metal, not malleable. I'm a man, didn't need that manual. Reparations is incalculable. Yeah, we wanted in blood, dead in the begging, head in the beheading, metal to the meddling. Members is aggressive, getting to the Armageddon. Karma, seem calmer when it comes to retribution. Caliber, catalyst in my clips and I use them on traitors and haters and the ones that spread confusion. Cause the devil's playground wasn't built for our amusement. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. Impenetrable armor, Orient aura. This story, this saga get gory before it get calmer. Keep holding that revolutionary posture. 85 gon' dip and dodger, but when they get monster, they turn into MC Light, earrings, and become door knockers. I'm irate, they pirate the culture, send them to Davy Jones' locker. It's okay. Okay. Let them think that you lost it. Be patient, this type of thing you can't force it. Play possum, but not know what the road and they can't comprehend cause the language is coded. We plan ideas and we plan explosives. Make your pockets go for more bits or more bread. The portal done open, they can't close it. You ain't got a sideline, you could cause more risk. No set birth date, no Dorian Gray portrait. It's about to get ugly and these devils can't forfeit ancestral memories, so no I won't forget. What we building is an impenetrable fortress for show. Every show is just like a core ship and my flow for show tighter than your gal's corset. It's okay. We are the source, you can't outsource it. Even Spartans don't want no parts, Nev. What do you know? Before you know it, 3,000 wild Africans at your doorstep. Hey, meet me at the guard hour. Hey, in these strange days, you gon' need a strong counter. Spin like Beyblade. No, we will not cower while the rest they play safe. We will move with God's power. This is not for play. Honor my ancestors, play the Ori day. Peace to you, loved ones, stay dangerous and stay safe. AKAs and AKs coming to make their caves cave. Wreck the race like take case, stay dangerous and stay safe.
Brothers just walk up on me and they're just like, you know, you can just see the hunger in their eyes. Like as soon as you know what I mean? They was like, yo, you know, we a group and we think that you would fuck with us and you know, I'm telling you, like, we nice and just give us a fucking chance type of shit, you know?
All right, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, place for knowledge born. It's your host, Knowledge Born Live. We got a special guest by special request. Indeed, a special guest by special request. We got the best in the Pacific Northwest. Okay, all right. 206. 253, whatever they got going on up there.
All in between.
You understand? 360, all of that. So we definitely got the best in the Pacific Northwest. A gift from God here with us today. One of those divine seeds that God placed on the planet to help us see things from our mind into our reality via audiovisual storytelling. We have the podcast startup to the podcast scale up. Okay, we have the cultural supplanter of podcasting. Okay, so if you have a story that's in your mind or in your heart, she will whisper it out of you and have you scale it. All right, she will whisper it out of you and have you scale it unto the world. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce and present to others the special guest by special request here to share some love, some insight, and some of her journey in the world of podcasting and podcast coaching and podcast mind mapping. here with us today on Through the Knowledge Radio. So let's give it up for the
my.
one, the only DaniMarie.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. That was so I love that so much. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you as well. Glad to have you here. Okay. So we met in this magical place, right? This magical place of social audio. So what brought you out of all of the places that you could have been in universe, sharing your story, sharing your gift, sharing your talent, sharing your skill set to Fanbase?
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone watching right now and catching the replay. I'm Dani. Thank you so much, Knowledge, for that intro. What brought me to Fanbase? Well, I have been podcasting for the last 4 years and just trying my hand at the different platforms. So ultimately, because I am a podcaster, caught an interview of Isaac on EYL. And that ultimately was what brought me over to Fanbase. Number one, wanting to support Black, and then hearing everything that Isaac shared on the podcast that day is what drew me to Fanbase. But the backstory is I've been on several different platforms, and it's never the whole community. It's never the Black folks in social audio. It's the experience is so different on all other platforms. So that's why I'm happy to say Fanbase, and it's brought us together. But that's like the number one platform, and their whole mantra, be you without limits, is why I've been enjoying my time on Fanbase. And thank you again for having me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what's been your experience so far before we get into your podcast story? What's been your Fanbase story so far?
So when I came over, I was kind of going in the different social audio rooms, and you guys will learn about those if you come over to Fanbase. But all the social audio spaces basically in the hallway. And for like 2 weeks before I decided to open my own room, I just got to fill out the landscape a little bit, lay of the land. And I was just compelled to start my own social audio because everyone, to me, and I think it's also, if you're a podcaster or you a radio personality, you get it right away. So to me, everyone just made it so warm and welcoming for me to feel inspired to start my own camp. But also because I am a podcaster, I see the potential of social audio, and I know that it's only going to get bigger and better. So I was over on Fanbase for maybe 2-3 weeks before I started, built the whole website, Creator Elevation Camp, and it's all about, it's in the name, building as a content creator. And it's been fun just building. The build continues on Fanbase.
I love it. And I see you had some interviews. Tell us about your Fanbase interviews and, some of them opportunities right there.
Yes. So I do every Monday at 3 p.m. PST. We have creator conversations. I've got to speak with Kira, aka Dani, and she just built her app, White Collar. It's spelled WITE Collar, COLLAR. Shout out to her. And she's been on the platform. We've had Tessa of Multi-Nurse that we had on the platform. We've had Lead with Logic on the platform. Shout out to him. We've had the brand Alchemist. And you can hear these names, right? And just know the type of conversations that we probably likely had on the platform. And the whole premise is creator conversations. Let's just talk about your journey as a content creator, how that led you here. And it's just been good to have candid conversations, open dialogue, things that have been thought-provoking, educational, and everything in between.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's rewind in history. Out of all of the things that you could have done, right? Let's rewind it back
Right.
to the podcast land. What was the motivation, the inspiration? What happened? Just take us through the journey.
Mm-hmm. Life comes full circle. So I was studying just as an intern because it was an option on the college campus. So if you ever heard of the Evergreen State College based in Washington State, it's very liberal.
Yeah.
But at that college, they had training for radio. It was obviously just a private radio station for the college. And that was a long time ago. But now that I'm thinking about the question, that's probably when it got started. I just had this desire to teach about education and empowerment. So that was the idea. Never got around to doing it. But years later, the pandemic, so I'm a pandemic podcaster, if you will. I started during the pandemic. And at that time, I had lost both of my full-time jobs. I lost my father due to a sudden heart attack. And then I had become a mother of two during the pandemic. So I was looking for like safety. I was looking for a community. I was trying to get a lot of resolve and everything that I was kind of experiencing at that time and just dealing with loss and grief. So I saw a lot of women on Facebook groups, in my experience, all very self-loathing. So I just wanted something more positive. And so I started the podcast. I'm going to be a mom of two. It's important for me to kind of deal with these issues, these experiences, these feelings, things that I've never been able to address. My mother and I started the Mother and Daughter Duo podcast. 20 episodes later, well, actually, technically 8 podcast shows later, here I am now teaching. But it was loss and grief during the pandemic, ultimately.
So you and mama, okay, out there looking elegant, out there looking royal, okay, during the pandemic, bringing the family dynamic together, all kinds of things happen. Take us through the sights and the sounds of what it was like winning with mama, reconciling with mama, going through every kind of thing that you could go through. What was that like?
So we're 12 minutes in, you guys. So I feel like we are acquainted. We know each other. So I could drop some bombs on you and you can handle it. Okay. So we talked about how did we both become parents, number one, but how did we become single parents? How did that happen? And mother, I saw you do it for 30 plus years. How in my 30s did I also now become a single parent? How did I find myself in the same predicament, knowing the sacrifices that you had to make? Then it got even more heavier with you entrusting me, mom, in the care of other people. What does it look like to have a village? And what about those people that are a part of your village that violate boundaries? And to me, in my experience, it was like getting molested. So we talked about that experience that in my understanding never got addressed. So I had to ask my mom whatever happened with that. And we had these tough conversations, and the whole idea for the podcast, mental health, childhood trauma, generational curses, and the societal stigmas. And this is what a lot of us face in our households. And we never have a chance or opportunity to heal from those tough conversations because it's always, especially in the Black household, brushed under the carpet. Whatever happens in our home stays in our home. So my mom was open and willing to have those tough conversations. And I felt like it was necessary because, like I said, I was at a crossroads. And if I'm going to be raising 2 young men, I need to be able to be okay with myself and know exactly what happened in my past and how I can kind of change the trajectory for our family. So that's why it was important to start that podcast. Then I got really addicted to it. And that's why I'm doing like so many now. But that's how I got started. Those were the conversations that we had. And again, I am so grateful to my mom because not everybody has that experience.
So from mother to mother. Okay.
Right.
What does mother mean to you?
Oh, I love that. Ooh. I'm going to sit in this one for a second. Thank you, sis. Ooh. Oh my goodness. The funny thing about my family and I, so my mother was here because of the military. She decided to stay here. So it's only been the 3 of us. and I'm 38, believe it or not. I'm 38 years old. So it's only been us three out here in Washington State. So away from family, not very close. And no, that's bright on my phone, but darker on the camera. But it's been us three just kind of thugging it out here. And now that I have my two boys, it's like I never knew what it was like without children. But my family looks at me and they laugh because it's been only us three for so long that they never saw me having children. And again, I had my first child at 34. So it's just new. When I look at them, you just have yes, number one, you can't picture life without them, but like everything about raising children. Oh goodness, hold on. Don't let me get emotional already. Okay, everything about children and mother.
Okay, come on.
Oh my goodness.
We are here.
First of all, I think my children, and I've had, yes. So because through my children, I feel like I've had a second chance at life to get things right. That's number one. But also to know that you are nurturing, raising, building up the confidence and the mind of a young person, of a human being is such a big blessing. To be a mother, you are a mother bear, you are a grizzly, you are a comforter, a nurturer, you are a confidant, you are, just the resources of how they will thrive as a human being. So it's a blessing and an honor. And it took me having a few children that God had to take away and snatch from me, or he allowed that to happen for me to understand and value motherhood. So I've lost two children prior to me having my rainbow kids. So being a mother is so beautiful, and I'm so blessed.
So now that you're a mother, this is a two-part question. How do you look at your mother? And
Okay.
then how do you look at yourself as her child/daughter, since you have sons?
Ooh. We had the conversation about parenting, and she was like that helicopter parent, but I was also a latchkey kid, but she's also a very in military background and raised by her grandparents. So she's more rigid and a helicopter parent. I am more of the gentle parent, if you will. But I just appreciate and I love and respect her journey so much because it took me having my own children. But our relationship is now solid, and it's been dysfunctional, like I said, because it's only been three of us with that tight dysfunctional love, and me having to stay with her at times when she probably didn't want me there, and I'm in her space and she's in mine, and I'm a grown adult. So it's been a dysfunctional, hard, tough love, but very necessary. And like I said, when you have kids, you understand the sacrifices your parents have made and why they were so strict and why they had to put their foot down, especially if you live long enough to see some of the friends you used to roll with. Like, mom was right about that one. So she just was so solid, and our relationship is like this now because we understand each other differently. Now that I'm older, she understood, you've always been this person, very bullish, but very determined. And she can respect that about me and vice versa. It's like a different level of respect and appreciation for each other in the relationship.
So was mom Army or Navy?
She was in the Army. She was in the Army. She was a cook in the Army. And when she retired, she said, I have been all I could be. I think that was like in 2014.
Oh, the same year I retired. Yeah, 10 years ago.
Is that right?
So
Yeah.
I understand the dynamic now because if you would have said Navy, that'd have been something different. But Joint
Mm-hmm.
Base Lewis of McCord, aka Fort Lewis, is a different
Yep,
environment
that's
too.
right.
Yeah. So
So were you stationed here, or are you just familiar?
yeah, no, I was there. That was my last station. I
Okay.
retired there too, and I stayed there for
Good to know.
7 years of too long. 7 years too long. All right, it was too much. I had to get out of there.
I understand.
Um,
Well, thank you for your service too, by the way, knowledge.
yeah, they can keep it as long as they give me my check on the first. I don't care nothing about my service. They can have it. They can have it.
Okay,
So
respect.
I'm understanding now the space of reconciliation. Your mother comes from a total control environment, and she was raised by elders, so she
That's
didn't
right.
have the benefit of a buffer on neither side, and she was a black woman in the military.
That's right. By
Yeah,
herself.
yeah, that
Yes,
was
I
not an
came
ideal
out here
environment
with
for
no
her at
family.
all. Right. And then in a combat service support type of space,
Mm-hmm.
but in a space of imminent danger because
That's
they so yeah, there's a lot of
mm,
factors that I'm factoring into my mind in regards to your relationship. So you being bold and outspoken, and she's being bold and outspoken, and
I
she's in a totalitarian environment.
Woo!
So the
Yes, break it
clashism
down for
that's
the folks.
happening, right? The clashism that's happening, that's there, and y'all are both seeing
Mm-hmm.
yourselves and one another, and not liking what you see at the
Right.
same time. How do
That's
you
right. That's right.
reconcile? Because you
And all
use
of
the
those
R
things I
word,
told
right? Go
all
ahead.
of those things I told you had a lot to do with our relationship, mental health,
Mm,
childhood trauma,
mhm,
generational curses. We
mm,
talked about the stigmas that single people face. We added money mindset. So
mm.
that sums up the relationship. And you summed it up perfectly. But then also, I went to Job Corps at 16 years old because at that point, it was like, enough is enough.
Yeah,
I'm shipping you away.
right.
Go. So yeah. But what was your question? Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
That's all good. We mind mapping, okay? I'm just letting them know why you're the truth. We're just going through the cliff
Yeah.
notes and let them know
Thank
why you're the truth. So reconciliation
Yeah.
through all of that you named, all of the muck and the mire, and it's foggier than a lot of folks' journeys, right? How did y'all finally
Mm-hmm.
get a chance to see each other and reconcile? When did that happen? What was that like for you? What was it like for her? Did y'all do that in front of the world, or did y'all do that in private and then before y'all went in front of the world? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. That's a good question, knowledge. At the very moment that I lost everything, I gained a stronger relationship. I would have to say it was during the pandemic. Um, Her learning to be there for me while I'm kind of falling and failing in real time during the loss and dealing with my dad. Like, she came to tell me that he passed away because I didn't answer my phone. So they called her. So she was able to tell me that. And I'm happy she was my buffer, because that in and of itself is a whole nother story from being estranged with him. Notice I said I was raised by her only, a single parent. So she had to tell me that he passed away the day after my son's first birthday, by the way. Um, so in that season, it's been reconciliation, and it's because God, life, whatever you guys believe in, humbled me during that season from losing everything, having 2 children. Prior to that season, I was used to working 2+ jobs for 10+ years, at the same time. So, and like I said, getting out of the house around 16 years old has kind of shaped just this independent person, bullish personality. So we had reconciliation, I would say, during the pandemic, because God sat me down and I finally was able to listen and see through having children, like, ooh, yes, okay, I get it. It took me having to be humbled and understand my mother's point of view, but it also took me having to get out of my own way during that season, because that's also ultimately what it is, getting out of my own way at a big age.
So this is around the same time, just in my mind doing calculation, right? Your
Mhm.
mother retired 10 years ago. So if you back up through the pandemic, this is about 5 years. So the world for her had slowed down finally. We don't know. We're going 4,000 miles per hour, and we're responsible for everything and everybody, all of their families, all of their problems, all of their attitudes, all of this other stuff that's going on. So it's kind of zero tolerance for anything that's not orderly, right? Because you're dealing with so much. So your mother is dealing with 300 or 400 people in her environment, right? And their foolishness and all of this stuff, and then the expectations above her and the standards that have to be set below her. So all of these things together, and she's seeking to improve herself. All these things happening at the same time, and seeking to try to raise you at the same time. So these are all these things. So I'm thinking just in my own mind, even from my own experience, right? 5 years after all of these things and people that were grabbing at you and all these expectations and all these missions that you had to make that were no fail or whatever it was, whatever kind of foolishness that the army came up with, right? It's no longer there. So she went through the transition space trying to rediscover her and meet her for the first time because she hadn't met her. She was exposed to the military
Oh,
young,
that's
either
so
17
good.
or 18 years old, right? And she's been in that environment, and that environment is not developing, it's arrested. So you're good in that environment, but you're not growing as a person. You're not growing as a person. You're changing ages in that
So
environment.
good.
So now, after that environment is gone, all of those lights are cut off. You're in the space in the path of self discovery for the first time in your life. First time in your life,
Precisely.
and a tiny bit of identity crisis is associated with it because this was your life. You took this on and you put this on. Like this was mission first, soldiers always, whatever environment you were acculturated with, and that's it. That was all that you knew, right? So, relating
Right.
to regular life outside of that environment was strange. So now, in this environment, she gets a chance to see herself, and then, in evidence in that space, she gets to see you. So now, with the pandemic, with a space of uncertainty, she gets to put on a uniform of mother and and mother you through a storm where you got all of her attention, all of her concern, and all of those things,
You need to
so
write
she
that
can
down.
finally see yourself, and she can see you. So both are in an environment where God is like, all right, let me pull y'all close together so y'all can really see each other, and then y'all can actually hear each other versus talking at each other or whatever the case may be, going through the motions. So the reconciling of the relationship was a bond that was forged in a time of uncertainty after a significant loss. You understand what I'm saying? Like all of these things become important, but with a significant gain on the other side. You're somebody's mother. You
Right.
understand? So mothering through the storm, right? Mothering through the storm. She knows what the storm is like. You're learning what the storm
That's
is
right.
like, and y'all are learning each other, and that's rites of passage and honor in the seat of motherhood together. So mother sisters now, not just mother daughter, right? Mother sisters now, because she gets a promotion based off of that. So she's grandmother. You understand what I'm saying? So now it has to be a grand experience. And in order to be in the space to grandmother, because now there's a buffer. You're the mother, she's the grandmother. So now she can actually see what's going on. Because when you're close to it, you don't really see. So he's like, and you're saying, like, okay, so reconciliation for self, reconciliation for family, and reconciliation for the future. All these three things happening at one time. I just think that that's amazing. It's amazing.
So
And
good.
I could only see it outside
Look,
of
I might have
myself.
to compensate you. I might have to pay you. I'm gonna let you know in advance because I wrote those two things down. Mother you through the storm and mother sisters, because I'm gonna have to use those two things.
Those
But
are
that was
yours.
so
Those
well
are
put.
yours. Yeah. Sometimes it's
Those are so
easier
well put.
if you have
I appreciate
background
you.
of
Yeah,
what's
just
going on. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I told somebody before, yes, I'm not too proud to say it's somewhat of a 12-year-old trapped in a 38-year-old body, because I'm just now coming to a space where I can deal with some of those things. You guys may not understand it, but I'm like, some people are still trapped, and I'm so grateful for that reconciliation phase of life, because that was like the thing that kind of unlocked the next stage. But yeah, it's mothering you through a storm. And then what is it like to just constantly be in survivor mode and never having a chance to just
Yes.
We are products of our own environment. So yeah, that was good. Thank you for that. I'm taking it.
It's yours. You don't have to steal it. It's yours, man. It came from you. All right. So now
Okay.
y'all are doing this live. Okay, y'all are doing this live in front the people, not on the camera thing right here like we doing. Y'all in front of people in the audience and all of this stuff. I'm hearing tears. I don't have to see them. I'm hearing the tears. I'm hearing the applause.
Right.
I'm hearing. I know that's right, and I had no idea, and blah blah blah. So walk us through that experience from the first episode on through, and what was it like from the people's perspective and from y'all's perspective together?
Mhm. When I launched the podcast, we had a launch at a movie theater, and we invited our close friends and family and gave them an opportunity to watch the video with us and premiere the episodes. The best feedback that we got was with our guests who saw it at the movie theaters. And it's like, we just had these open conversations after the movie premiere or podcast episodes premiered. I'm still to this day can never say what she said to my own mom, and I'm 60. So the responses were overwhelming. The responses were all positive. The response was, you're doing something with this podcast, and this is important. These conversations are important. So we got invitations to do a few live events to talk about it. People who wanted to have and see that kind of breakdown between the mother and daughter, so that they too could be healed. But what I discovered was that men were actually watching and tuning in more than us. I think a part of that too is just a lot of men also come from single parent households, number one. Two, I think they also thought we would be male bashing a lot as two bitter single moms. So I think that's why they probably tuned in, but that never happened. My mother's always been neutral, and that's how I am. Very diplomatic, but the responses were great. We were so happy for the support of our community.
So what about with each other? Y'all looking at each other like, "Oh, girl, we did that. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know you was gonna say. I didn't know you was gonna say all that. Well, who you talking to? Well, who you talking to? I love you. Well, I love you.
Right.
How did it go? We need to know a little bit. Just
The very first episode, she was on live and she was like, I'm going to give you what I got. Because I'm like, Mom, how do you feel? This is the first episode. I'm going to give you what I got. So it's been that tone pretty much the whole way. But I think the only gripe we really had, the two, so it was having that conversation about, me getting molested by my babysitter, the person she had to entrust me with at the time. Having that conversation like, Mom, we never had this discussion. You never told me if you confronted the family after I told you what the boy did to me. I never knew what happened after the fact. And she told me in that moment, I didn't know how to help you because it happened to me. So that was like a big aha moment. But then also the only other gripe that I had that we kind of was like, was basically, she said about my parenting, if you let my grandbaby do that, I'm going to have a problem with that. And this is, shaking the head and telling me that if I let her grandchild do something, she has a problem with me allowing him or allowing it to go down. So that part, I was like, how you gonna check me in my parenting? Anyways, that was the only gripe we had where we were on air. Another fun episode was because I always believe, and like you talked about this earlier, as my mother's firstborn and a daughter, I always believe that my brother, who is 4 years younger than me, was the favorite, just because it's a fact that mothers treat their sons a lot differently. So we had him come on the podcast and talk to, he even laid to bed some of the assumptions I had growing up, just like, was you becoming the man of the house, how did that impact you? He was like, I couldn't be the man of the house, so I didn't feel impacted in no way. It just was never my reality. I didn't, all I was going to do was take out the trash. And that's, to me, not really something that you should coin as the man of the house. So he never felt the burden. In my mind, I thought he did. So he even laid to rest some of the assumptions I had. But those 3 shows with the molestation conversation, my brother being the male of the house and the favorite, and about my parenting were the only times we kind of were like this.
Was he the favorite?
We had a segment on the show called the Mother and Daughter. He was the favorite. Every man knows that you guys are the favorite. And I will say
this. You sticking to that? Is that your final answer?
I'm sticking to that. I think that it's easier to raise boys, especially once they hit a certain, it's just easier. It is easier. And then, like you said, sometimes you can see yourself in your daughter and the parts you don't necessarily care for. And so that makes the relationship even more difficult. The boys are the favorite. And especially, I'm going to have to say this, single mothers of men, because a lot of times they do try to make them the boyfriend. So it is a thing. There is a psychology between the relationship. I believe that. I got a comment that said boys are definitely the favorite.
It must have skipped me. I have 6 siblings, all right? 3 older and 2 younger. I didn't get no love. I don't know nothing about this love you're talking about. I don't know nothing about this love you're talking about, all right? I don't know.
Were you in the middle? Where were you?
Exactly in the middle. Okay?
The middle.
So, yes. So
okay, that is a tough spot too.
I'll share a jewel with you, okay? You were the experimental child, so this is why you didn't feel the love, and this is why you left early, because you was just like, they was trying to figure it out. There's no manual, okay? There's no manual. You have children, all right? Your first child, you're like, oh. Your second child, you're like, all right, I'm a little something better. So they always get the residual effect of the on-the-job training, either right or wrong. Either they continue to do it wrong or they look to do something different. It's like, all right, so this happened. What can I do to improve? So you might see the residual. By the time my mother got to the youngest child, 7, it's 7 of us. So, I mean, she got better with time. But my eldest sister, she was another mother. So naturally, you're the oldest child, you're going to be the other mother too. So that's another shared type of responsibility. So there's a thing of trust that's never discussed, where you assume a role and you alleviate a burden, so you automatically become somebody of worthy and esteem, even though you don't never feel like it. It may not ever even be told to you, but you are a lifesaver. You understand what I'm saying? So you like, all right, the little brother. A lot of us
were raised as latchkey kids too.
Yeah, a little brother as the favorite. Like, nah. He just was there. He just happened to get the residual of. Hopefully there was some transformation change. He was
a fair statement.
Yeah.
But we interviewed a young lady on the podcast. I'm a co-host of The Lion's Den with Seth. That was the conversation, mothers and daughters. She said out of her own mouth, in her experience, she raises her daughter to be hard, to your point, to be tough, because you know that the woman, the Black woman, they say is like the number one most hated in America. So she felt that she had to raise her daughter to be tough, and she raised her son and coddled him. And those were her words, because he is already getting so much hate from the world. to me, I'm saying it, it's the same thing to me.
Yeah, it
But
sounds
she
twisted.
took care of him.
Twisted, right?
She took care of the boy because he needs it. You know, if he's out there in the world, people hate him so much. But she chose to coddle him. That's what she said, and I think that is universal. I don't know
I
what
ain't
it
doing no
is.
coddling.
But
I missed the coddling ship. Okay, the coddling ship went
both
right by
things
me like,
can be true.
pew, 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 pew. I'm like,
Both things
who?
can be
What?
true.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think in regards to whatever the approach is, so it's really developmental psychology on the adult and what the choices are. So if
Yeah.
that was her logic, there may not even been her reality. It might have been just what she drew up in her mind. It may not actually been what she actually did. So that might have been her experience in her mind. But if she surveyed the children, she might find something different. You see what I'm saying?
Could be.
The son might have been like, I wish you would have been hard on me and blah, 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 blah. And then the daughter was like, I wish you would have been so. You never know what the dynamics are until you actually speak to your children.
True.
You know, so you have the inference in your mind. I don't know what kind of parent I am. Ask my children. They know. I don't know. I'm clueless. You understand what I'm saying? I might be like, yeah, I'm doing something. My daughter be like, fam, if you don't go sit down somewhere, let me tell you something. Right?
We know you.
So being open is a
I got
thing. It's a thing of being open and you know, coachable and teachable in regards to this role, because this is a role, right? This is a role. You have to be open to certain kinds of things. I had all of the arrogance in the world and all of the ego in the world, and it didn't serve me. You understand what I'm saying? It became distant. Your children be like, all right, you know, forget you. Until I had to go through that space of atonement. I had to go and atone for what I was programmed with. So there was a whole shift and all of that. So understanding those things, I can hear that. I can hear different perspectives. Yeah. So it's just different now. Things are different. You learn different. So you do different, right? When the best apology is change behavior. It's one of the mantras that I live by. So yeah. All right. I'm off of that. I'll save that for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Say that for you over there.
I can
So
that.
let's talk about your business. Okay. Let's talk about your business. You know, the plan, the podcast, all of this excellency, these packages and all of that. What's the story behind it? And how did you get going mothering baby podcasters? You understand what I'm saying? You went from mothering relationships and mothering through the storm and helping folks mother through the storm of podcasting. Let's shift gears. What's up? Talk to me.
Do you think everybody, okay, I'm going to answer your question, knowledge, but do you think everybody should have a podcast? Do you think there's a responsibility that people should live up to have a podcast?
I think that I think that whatever they do well, there should be some medium where they exchange with the public. Not necessarily a podcast, but whatever gifts, talent, skills that they have, that is easiest for them, the easiest medium for them to communicate their art, science, talents, gifts, skills, knowledge, capabilities with the public, it should be that. And that's what they should focus on. And then they should build around some social platform to get that word out. So yeah, I don't know if I answered that question.
So expression.
Expression should be.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. You should be able to express yourself in whichever capacity and medium you choose, you see fit, and that aligns with you. So I like that. But I'm like, yes, everybody should have a podcast. And for me, it's just not even a deep reason, but I'm just like, you should have a podcast. You should be able to express yourself and your opinions on a podcast. From the podcast, you can likely make more money. But when everybody has, because I feel like social media, podcasting is going to be like the next thing. That's why I like social audio. But we have a lot of different opinions and we have this spectrum. And I feel like most of us will find our middle. If we have all these extremes, we'll be able to find our middle. So I think that everybody should have a podcast. But that's why I'm passionate about teaching, because I do think that everybody should have a podcast. At one point when I was doing my podcast, I had 5 different shows that I was doing a week. And then people started to take notice. Motivation Monday Mommy Meetup, Life Unscripted with DaniMarie, having these types of conversations. Motivation Monday Mommy Meetup, it was having busy moms who are talking about how to balance their personal and professional life. Throwback Thursday, we were talking about things that are happening in social media and on mainstream news. And then we have Follow Me Friday, only people who had a product, brand, service, come on, talk for 15 minutes. It was like a panel, and they all just got to talk about what they did, and they got off. And then Plan to Podcast, talking to podcasters. So I, at some point, was just knocking them out. I heard you say that offline. I'm the second for today. So once you get into podcasting and you are good about the workflow, like I would be up at 5:30 doing first podcast, AM, PST. And I had to do it because my kids were asleep. There was no other opportunity during the day unless it was when taking a nap or when they were off to bed. So you get crafty and you build up a workflow and you learn how to manage well. And people started to take notice and they wanted help, basically. So that's how I became a coach. It's like, how are you able to do 5 podcasts? I can barely do the one I'm working on. So I started to coach from that space. And they coined me as one of the GOATs. But I have a lot of growing and stuff to do. But I think during that time span,
take that GOAT status, okay? Take that GOAT status. I had to take it. I had to take the GOAT status, all right? They don't just be giving it out.
Give me a couple more years. I need a few more benchmarks first. But yeah. So I built me up a little team of people to help me. And then after a while, we all went our separate ways, but all still very amicable. But I got good and crafty and people started to take notice. And then I started to help and coach other people. I think everyone that comes to me needs to start off with a podcast plan. So just like every business has a business plan, you need a strategy for your podcast. You should not just go free willy-nilly. It's good to start there, but especially when it's time for you to scale, then you certainly need some strategy. Like, how often are you going to go? How are you going to be consistent? What is your workflow? How do you keep up with your guests? I actually have like workflows, SOPs, CRMs. So those are the things that I do to be self-sustaining, to keep this machine going, and to also coach people on how to build systems and operations if you want to make podcasting long-term.
I love it. So what's been your experience thus far, being the drill sergeant, being the accountability coach, being the psychiatrist, being the psychologist, being the guidance, being the counselor, being the princess of peace, and being a dark overlord in the realm of podcast coaching, where people paying you but they don't want to do nothing, and like, why I got to do all of that? Tell us about it. I heard through the grapevine. I don't know if any of that's true, but I heard through the grapevine. That's what you have.
you know it's true. You know what? That was one of the reasons why I didn't necessarily want to coin myself as the GOAT or help people, period, because I didn't know that I was good at helping people with the mindset thing. Like, to me, it's cut and dry. If you want to get from point A to point B, there's just a level of commitment that it takes. So I just didn't think I had the bandwidth to try to keep doing this tug of war between people and their obstacles and the mindset that gets in the way. But that was me talking myself out of a situation. It's not that deep, and it hasn't been so bad. There are people who do let life get in the way, but then I'm just able to say, take the time you need and go move to the next person I'm supporting at that time. So it hasn't been that bad. Sometimes you do have to chase people down to follow up on what they're supposed to do, but it hasn't been that bad. I lead with grace and understanding. And I think my life and my consistency and my enthusiasm for what I do is ultimately what carries and draws more people to me. Like, okay, if she's doing it with 2 kids screaming in the background and still podcasting, then I can do it too. So I think that's why our exchange and our journey has been so well, and I haven't had too many problems. But people know I will get them in the headlock if I need to. Mindset.
Okay. Yes. Before we continue on,
you celebrated 9,000 knowledge. You celebrated 9,000 or 900. Forgive me. Shows.
9 years, 3,400 episodes.
9 years.
Yeah, 9 years.
9 years. Oh, I put too much. Okay.
Yes.
So congratulations to you. I'm just thinking about that word consistency. So then I was like, well, let me acknowledge how many you put in, how much you put in. But you put your sets in. Blessings to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's tell us about this Amazon feat. Okay. Book up on Amazon. You out here popping. All right. You bona fide. All right. What was that endeavor like for you?
You know what? Yeah. I have currently the Podcasting for Newbies podcast by way of a girlfriend of mine who was building that group, decided to give me her group that she had been building and cultivating over the past 4 years. She gave it to me and moved into real estate. So Podcasting for Newbies, the Facebook group, was already in existence. And when I stepped into the role, it's like, how do you provide value? How do you scale this podcast group? And I think the best way was just every day going live, giving people tips so that they can apply it. And then I'm like, well, what's going to keep people like committed to the journey? And I think it was, if we have somewhat of a syllabus that walks people, going back to that word I said earlier, a plan. If you have like a syllabus and we're treating this like school, where you're learning something once a week, that's going to be something you can apply to your podcasting journey to launch, grow, and scale, then I should do that in the form of an ebook. So I would, and this is a cheat code, because I am comfortable podcasting, I would just talk to myself on camera, record it on video, and then you can put those recordings up on YouTube. You can unlist it, meaning that the public will not see the video, and just copy and paste the transcripts, and there you go. Or if you have something like StreamYard or Zoom, I think you can also get the transcripts. So you just copy and paste what you're saying, because this feels more natural maybe for you. And then hence the ebook. So the process was not bad. But the mission was very necessary, just making sure that we can educate people. Excuse me.
Ebooking, right? Out here on Amazon. I'll go to Amazon.
52 weeks of podcasting success.
52. She said 52. I said 52. She said 52. Okay?
I didn't even hear what you said. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to correct you. I'm just saying the name again because I forgot to mention it. 52 weeks of podcasting success for every week of the year, so that you could take the baby steps to get through the navigation system.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
52. All right. 52 weeks. How many weeks? 52. 52. Excuse me. All right. So, see, I see it. Go to Amazon, get the book, fam. Stop being cheap. Go get the book. All right. Invest.
Right.
Invest. All right.
It's only
Invest.
$9.99. Right.
Okay,
We're in
$9.99.
we'll be on
There's
week
more.
3. Mhm. Right now it's a good time because we are only on week 2. We'll be on week 3 Tuesday. And so you can follow along. So the podcast, we talk about the topic of the week. And then in the group, we unpack the topic of the week over the period of 5 days. So you literally are getting the help to get started, launch, grow, and scale, and get paid from your podcast. I'm literally helping you. So get the book.
Literally. Okay. Literally. 52 weeks. All right. 52. Get it. All right. Get it. You get a copy and then you get 4 more copies and then you give them to somebody else who got a podcast and they struggling. All right. They struggling. You see them on the struggle podcast bus. Give them the book. I say, look, fam, stop struggling on the podcast struggle bus. Okay. Scale.
Get off the struggle bus. Get the ebook.
Yes.
Right.
Get the ebook.
And if you have someone who's been saying they want to start a podcast, they want to be co-hosts with you, tell them that they need the book. Like, we can't do this podcast together as co-hosts unless we know what we're doing. Get the book and do a book
what
club.
week are you on? Right? Are you on week 1? Are you on week 1? All right.
Well,
yeah. I was just telling my co-host in my head, okay, like what week are you on? Because I'm on week 3. All right. Are you on which one are you on?
Right. Right.
Get on my level.
I see where
I
you're
had to
going.
trill bill them right quick. Like,
Come on.
get on my level.
Get
on
my
level.
That's right. Get off the bus and let's step into the Bentley. I don't know.
Okay. Yes, the Bentley. The Bentley. Okay. The podcast Bentley. That's what I'm talking about. Right. Yes. So I know one of your side hustles used to be the tour bus, the party bus. Tell us about that experience right there. Huh? Oh, you didn't think I knew nothing about that?
The party bus.
You didn't think I knew nothing about it? Okay, Dollar know everything about it. Okay,
yeah, you did some homework. The party buses were so much fun. I love that knowledge. The party buses. So you guys, I used to live in Las Vegas, right? And that was a way for me to get active networks, make connections, and show people a good time. So the party buses, we did those every weekend. There was a 1099 opportunity, so I was the host, and it was a lot of fun, to the point where I did my own outside of the company I was working with. I hosted some of my own as well. And yeah, that was fun. Just rub elbows with people, get to meet people, experience a new state and city on my own for the first time in such an unconventional way through the party buses. People, when they think about Las Vegas, they only think about the Strip because that's all people go and venture off to. But living there, it's a different experience. I enjoy Las Vegas, but you got to get off the Strip. But yeah, the party bus events were so much fun. Getting into places with my badge in the company I was with, and then showing people a fun time. So I enjoyed it. One of the things that I'm applying to what I'm doing now, this is something cool. Because the party buses I used to be on, they had like the TVs. I want to try my hand at hosting a podcast party bus, where we're just going to have some fun things to do, but we're in between time, we're just going to watch a podcast, and I can have somebody sponsor that. Like, I'll show your podcast to my party bus goers. I don't know what the logistics look like, but that's how my mind kind of works. Just like how I can repurpose ideas, repurpose content. So that's where I want to take things next with the party buses and podcasts merged.
Dope. Okay. Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Let me get my money together because I'm trying to get in the mix. All right. Do the knowledge on the party bus.
Right.
Do the knowledge on the party
Look,
bus.
this is
Do the knowledge on the party bus.
we can
You,
take
you
it on the
understand?
road and everything. So
Right.
yeah, we gotta
Right.
come to where you at and do
Right.
it.
Let's go. Let's go. So that answers the question in part of where would you like to take this podcasting platform next? You was like, the world, Craig. Okay? The world. Top flight
Yes, that's part of it.
podcast.
Lots of
Yes, I
events.
love it.
Events would be the next stage, and then on tour, and then on Fanbase. I don't know if you've been enjoying the watch parties in your space, but I've been trying to do that. And bring in a lot of people from my Facebook community to come be in the audience of some podcast episodes in real time. So like a network, if you will. But yeah, I love it.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay. So the legacy question and the self care question, because you be doing a lot when you're doing a lot. Okay. So I asked the self care question first. Is self care a priority for you? Because you said you were solopreneur, mompreneur. Okay. I heard that title. You a solo mompreneur out here making it happen and doing what you need to do. So
Yes,
is
I'm coining
self
it.
care a priority for you in your life? Okay. And if you was to give yourself a grade, do you have
If I'm being
A
honest,
or do you have an F? Okay, which one of them grades in between or something like that? Let's be
I
for
have
real.
like a C plus.
A strong
I have a
C plus.
C plus. Like literally, I don't have any time. A strong one. Literally, I don't have any time away from my kids. I don't. There's no time. And I literally wake up and sleep with them from like 5 a.m. Not even then. See, look, they're coming right here. I am with my kids all of the time. So the best I can do is take a hot shower in the morning. And that's about all I can do for self-care.
Mommy. So that means that my time is up. Okay. So if you want to give your final thoughts and a word of confidence to the podcast folks to get independently and where you can be found and how folks can collaborate with you.
Now, knowledge, you're going in and out, but that's all I can do for self-care so far. So it takes sometimes me having to wake up before my kids at 5, like I said. Sometimes do a morning run, sometimes very seldomly, sometimes do a little yoga routine on my carpet. And that's all I could do for self-care for now. But then the podcast is also my self-care. And then you said legacy. Did you tie in the 2 questions?
Yes. So, what is going to be your life legacy and your podcast legacy?
I don't know. Okay. I want my kids to have whatever and be whatever they want to be. And go ahead. Okay. A life legacy. Something philanthropic for sure. To have like a space where people could come and podcast, that would be so dope. Just do content creation, period. Have a hub. I love, if you guys know Nipsey Hussle and like what he was trying to do in addition to his clothing store and his his clothing store and his music. He also had a hub for creators or for business earners, business people. So he had a hub that he was working on of just go to one location and get all of these access to resources to build your business and brand. So if I could do something like that for podcasters, that would be my ultimate goal. But just something philanthropic. If we could have like that would be my legacy. Personally, for my children to just grow up and do and be whatever they want to be and be able to provide them and with the means for them to do it. Whether that's money, a trust, I just want them to thrive doing and being whatever they want to be. And I don't want me to get in the way of it. So that's all I could ask for. Hopefully you heard me with knowledge.
I heard you, but I didn't hear you. That was a you question. I heard about the mother you, but what about you? What about you?
What do I want for my legacy? For my legacy, I struggle with that. I just want, and not to be cliche or cheesy, I just want God to be like, well done, my good and faithful servant. So I know from like day one, I've always been the type to give back and just give, so, like I said, something philanthropic, but I don't have anything in particular, like something that I want for my legacy, except for God to be happy and proud. That's it. Because if he's proud, then I know I did what I was supposed to do.
That sounds like everything. Okay. That sounds very specific and Pacific. All right. Very specific and Pacific. Because you can't do that any old kind of way. You have to have a certain set of behaviors, mindsets, all kinds of things. Right. So, yeah, that's an achievable goal that some folks don't achieve. All right. God be like, get your raggedy self up out of here. You understand what I'm saying? Like, get your raggedy.
I don't want that. I want God to be like, yes, you're struggling. We made it. I made it with that strong C+.
Beautiful. So final
the
thoughts.
Strong C+,
thoughts.
The passing grades.
So final thoughts. Your final thoughts for the world, okay? And where people can find you and how they can collaborate with you. Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
I hear you, friend.
All right. Final thoughts for the family, the people that are listening. You got any acknowledgments, shout outs, where people can find you and how they can collaborate with you?
Shout out to you, Knowledge, for being the MVP. Just being so gracious. And I, like I said, and for me, for giving these 2 insights to me that I'm going to take and probably put them on a shirt. Mother you through the storm and Mother Sisters. But shout out to you for the platform and the opportunity. Shout out to all of you listening and tuning in. Shout out to Fanbase. Shout out to content creators. Shout out to podcasters. Go get that ebook, 52 Weeks to Podcasting Success, on Amazon. You can type in DaniMarie or go to the website, www.plan2podcast.com/PTP. But thank you again for your time. Make sure if you know someone to get the ebook for them, and or share this live and subscribe to the
All right, peace and blessings to the best in the Pacific Northwest. Okay, DaniMarie, thank you for your time. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your jewels. Thank you for your insight. And don't be a stranger, okay? Because I know where you be at. I know where you be at. All right, I know where you be at. So we out of here, y'all. Peace and blessings.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. Night in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that. No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get
And
back
that
to
motive
the
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.